Let's bring in Liberal MP for Casey, Aaron Violi. Hi there, Aaron. Nice to speak to you. I don't know if you were listening to the Q&A just then with Peter Dutton, but my impression was that he didn't give much away. He couldn't really be pinned down on anything.
I did catch the end of the conversation there with the Q&A, and I think that last point that was made around data centres and AIs is a really important one. It's one I've been talking about a lot in terms of the increased demand on our energy grid, whether it is AI, whether it's data centres, increased population, obviously things like electrification of housing and cars. We're going to need more electricity. That's why, as a coalition, we've talked about that need for nuclear with renewables and gas, and all three in a balanced mix in the system. And we saw just this weekend Microsoft invest significant money into a nuclear reactor in the US to make sure that they can underpin their data centres. So this conversation is an important one that we'll continue to have with the Australian people.
Do you think we'll get any numbers out of, any more details out of the coalition soon about the nuclear plan? Because we just keep hearing in due course.
Yeah, we've been very consistent in saying that before the election, we'll take our policies and our costings and prices to the Australian people so they can understand the holistic mix. And Peter indicated there that obviously gas will be a key part of that. And it shouldn't be about percentages. Chris Bowen is obsessed with renewables, but it's about this balanced price. It's about taking the holistic package. Importantly, for the Australian people, they want us to show them how we can bring prices down today while having a long-term plan for the future of the Australian economy, the Australian energy system. But let's be clear, Chris Bowen continues to talk about the opposition. He has got a program that is investing billions of dollars, and it's called the Capacity Investment Scheme, and he has not provided any costings on that scheme to the Australian people. We do not know how much taxpayer dollars has been spent on the Capacity Investment Scheme, how many gigawatts will be delivered for that money spent, and what it's going to bring in the future. So for Chris Bowen, who's the minister, all he does is talk about the opposition. The Australian people would love him to honour his $275 price reduction that he promised before the last election, and they don't want him talking about us. They want him to actually bring energy prices down, and it'd be good if he provided some of his own costings.
I also heard Peter Dutton say that he was open to renewables.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been very consistent in saying that we see nuclear underpinning renewables and gas, and you need that mix because nuclear provides. It is the only zero emissions, reliable baseload power that can be deployed at scale. That's the facts. That's the only technology that exists at the moment. And renewables provide an important part of the mix, but they're not available 24/7. So you need nuclear to underpin and support renewables, and then you need gas to also support. And one of the advantages of the gas is that the peaking plants can be turned on quickly and can fill those gaps as they come out when the sun doesn't shine or when we have a wind drought, as we experienced in this last winter. So we need all three, and we've been really consistent as a coalition. We see it as a nuclear, renewables and gas strategy, replacing the coal's renewable and gas strategy that we have at the moment. It's only the government that's talking about a renewables-only approach.
Away from nuclear, let's talk about beer. We know that the Nationals are backing a freeze on beer excise increases, and that might not have the support of the coalition.
Well, this is a conversation around alcohol excise that we need to look at and talk about whether it's beer. We also need to look at spirits. In my community, we've got lots of great distillers, including Four Pillars, which has been the 3-time International Gin of the Year, a company we're really proud of, but other distillers, as well as beer like Hop Hen, local breweries as well. And we need to look at that. The reality is, with inflation continuing to stay high and above the band, it means the excise is tied to inflation. In the last 4 years, the spirit excise has gone up about 20%. And that's a level that makes it really hard for spirits distillers, but also for breweries and for beer to be price competitive. And we're actually seeing a situation where the excise take has peaked and started to decline because the products have become so expensive in this cost of living crisis that consumers are not actually purchasing the products in the volume or at all in the current situation. So we'll, as a coalition, continue to look at what we can do to protect and help small business, get the balance right, take a bit of cost of living pressure out of communities, support hospitality venues. They're a big part of my community. I mean, but the real question again is the government missing in action. Where is the Treasurer? Where is the Prime Minister? What are they doing to help the excise issues that need to be addressed? They're missing in action again, but we'll work with the Nationals and put together a coalition policy, no doubt, coming into the next election.
Finally, just very quickly, I know that you're the MP for Casey, which now has a larger electorate due to the redrawing of boundaries. What are people saying to you?
Well, primarily my community were quite happy in that our existing area, which matches the Shire of Yarra Ranges, is still in the community. We stayed as one community. There was a proposal by Labor to abolish the seat of Casey. I'm lucky that didn't happen for me, but also the community. And I was out in Wonga Park last week, which is a new part of the electorate, talking to businesses, talking to residents, and they're excited to be part of this community. Wonga Park has a strong connection with Chirnside Park and Lilydale and those parts of the electorate. I'll be out in the hills, in Christmas Hills, where my mum used to teach in a few weeks for the 150-year anniversary of the Christmas Hills Primary School. So we've had minimal changes, but obviously any time there's a redistribution, there's a lot of work for locals to understand where they sit as their new federal representative.
Thank you so much for your time, Aaron Violi.